Hey everybody, hi and welcome to the video. And in this Reinvent 2022, Amazon has announced a lot of amazing feature, including event bridge pipes and zero ETL from essentially Aurora to Redshift and lot more. This video I want to talk about a feature that Amazon has released, basically Amazon S3 multi-region with failover controls. Now customers are building data lakes, using popular open source platforms such as Delta Lakes, Apache Hudi, Iceberg. Now, as the buckets they are essentially building a multi-region buckets, which means their buckets are spanned across multiple regions. Now, it is crucial that anytime they are trying to insert any item into the Delta Lake or data lake, right? And anytime due to some reason, if the region is not healthy or if the data was not inserted properly, you want to essentially fail over to a different bucket, right? That's essentially what Amazon's announced. In scenarios where, due to network issues or outages, let's say your request was not able to make to that region, it will automatically route that to the failover region. So let's read a little bit and then followed by a small demo. All right, I'm on my screen and let's get started. AWS launched Amazon S3 multi-region access point to give you a global endpoint that spans S3 buckets in multiple AWS region. In this event, that connectivity between clients and a bucket in a particular region is lost, the multi-region access point will automatically route all the traffic to the closest bucket synchronized via S3 replication in another region. Today, Amazon has announced failover controls for multi-region access point. These controls let you shift S3 data access request traffic routed through an Amazon S3 multi-region access point to an alternative AWS region within minutes to test and build highly available application for business continuity. So hopefully that made sense. And now let's see what we're trying to build here, okay? So let's see what we are about to build, okay? I'll guide you step by step over the process. So we are building this following stuff, right? So basically what we're gonna do is my primary bucket is US East 1. And anytime I insert data into US East 1, automatically all that data is backed up into a backup bucket, which is essentially in US West 1. Now, anytime there's a problem with the US East 1 or whatever, for some reason, something happened in that region, right? Automatically, this will fail over to the US East 2, which means if I try to insert data, automatically the data will be there in the US East 2 bucket, and in the backup bucket, irrespective, I will always have data. So this is what we are trying to build, right? We are essentially gonna build a multi-region, so if you observe here, let me quickly open that here. So here, this is what we're gonna build. Failover control for Amazon S3 for multi-region access point. So again, as I said, we'll be inserting into our main region, and anytime we insert a data into main region, it would automatically be copied into the backup bucket, right? Now, sometimes anything if it goes wrong with the main region, automatically it will fail over to the US East 2 bucket, and again my backup bucket will always have the data irrespective. So what's happening is irrespective, in case that region goes down, automatically it's gonna fail over to a different region, right? That is what we are trying to do, and then we are always replicating to the backup bucket, whether it's East 1 or East 2, right? That is essentially what we're gonna build, okay? So to start this project, head over to Amazon S3 and click on the multi-region. You can find it from the left side navigation bar. Here you can see multi-region access point. Once you're done, click on the orange button that says, create a multi-region access point, and then here name it something called sample, whatever you like. Then over here, you gotta select buckets, and I will be basically selecting all these three buckets. US East 1, again, this is in US East 1, US East 2, and my backup bucket essentially is in the US West 1. So select all the three buckets, click add, then click on create. Now this might take about 5 to 10 minutes, so be patient once this is done. Again, the status should be creating, and once it is done, it will essentially say ready. We'll resume once the status is ready. All right, as you can see, now it's in the ready state. Now click here and head over to replication and failover section here. Now here you need to do a configuration. Now you must be seeing your three buckets here. Again, as you can see, I have sample 1 US East 1, sample US East 2, and then my backup bucket. Select your active bucket that which is gonna receive data. So in this case, my US East 1 is the active bucket, right? And then click on these buttons and click on edit routing status, and then click on passive. you want to make sure that the other buckets are set to passive. Right now all the three are active, so I'm going to set the other one as passive. As you can see, I have set these buckets as passive. So I'm refreshing. So again, my US East one is the active and the other two are the passive. Now here is the replication rule. What I want to do, again, I explained you, right? We are going to insert data through the multi-region access point, right? It's going to go into US East 1. Anytime there's some problem or outages in that region, automatically it will go to the US East 2. Irrespective whether data goes into East 2 or East 1, we'll always have the data into the backup bucket, right? So that is essentially what we're doing. So now we need to create the replication rule. So click on, actually I already have one, but I can just show you the steps. So you can click here, click on replicate objects from one or more source bucket to another, one or more destination bucket. Now in the source bucket, you want to select your US East 1 and East 2, both active and passive buckets, right? And in the destination, select your backup bucket, right? And then at the end, you want to click on create. You can add a prefix here, right, if you want, and then click on create replication rule. I have a bucket here in the US East 1, no data inside that. This is the bucket in the US East 2, no data. And this is the backup bucket, again, no data. So let's see this in action. So now here is a simple code. Again, what I need to do is I need to head over here, come to multi-region and copy, click here, and then copy this Amazon resource name, okay? So where it says bucket name, so I have a class called AWS S3. Simply put your on over here, which I am doing here, right? Now again, I'm gonna insert one sample record. Well, let's see what happens. I'm expecting this to go to US East 1 bucket, okay? I inserted our data, as you can see. Now let's see if there's any data in the US East 1. I'm gonna refresh, and here you can see I have a sample data. Let's see US East 2. There should not be any data here. That's great. And again, in the backup bucket, it usually takes about a minute to come. So be patient here. Again, this data will come. I'll show you shortly in the backup bucket. Again, as I said, this usually takes, the replication usually takes time. So you will see the data in the backup bucket in a matter of minute or two. Here you can see, as you can see, we just got that in the backup bucket. So that's great, right? Absolutely fantastic, right? Now what I want to do is basically, I might want to fail over and just see. So if you want to fail over, you can, again, if you want to do that, what you can do, this active one, you can turn it to passive. So let's do that. So let me turn these all to active first. Okay. So now again, I'm trying to do a failover, right? So again, I'm still having the same multi-region access point. Now again, my active bucket is going to be US East 1, right? So these two buckets are going to be passive. So I'm going to make that passive, right? So I'm going to click here and give it a second or two. Usually it takes a time, you know, it has to do the setting stuff. So again, that is done. I'm just going to refresh to make sure it looks good. Now when I insert data, I should see the data in the US East 2. Again, there's no data here. Okay. So let's see. I'm inserting a data and it says okay. As you can see, it just took a little while, but I refreshed it and now I can see some sample data in the US East 2 region, right? Here you can see that's the data. So I hope you enjoyed the demo, right? So again, as you saw in the demo, right, we essentially saw an active bucket and the passive bucket, and then we were replicating into the backup bucket, right? Anytime something happened in an outage or something, we essentially failed over to a different region and the data was still going to a different bucket, right? That is essentially amazing, right? These are used in a mission critical application where we cannot avoid downtime, where we need high availability, right? Those are the scenarios where you can use these sort of architectures. Again, now if companies are using, Apache Hudi, Delta Lakes, Iceberg, they can have their buckets in multiple regions and they can implement the failover now, which meaning anytime something goes wrong in that region, it's automatically going to fail over into a different region. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave the source code in the description in case if you want to check that out. I'll also leave the official Amazon blog post in the description if you want to read more. Thank you so much for watching. And in the upcoming next video, we're going to explore more about event bridge pipes. So that's something, a new feature that has been announced in Reinvent 2022. We're going to see that in the upcoming next video. Thank you so much.